Well, hello and welcome. This is JB Fowler with Domotz. Along with me is Giancarlo Finelli, our CTO. Giancarlo, say hi. Let everybody hear you. There you are. Very
Yeah,
good.
I am here.
I'm broadcasting from Salt Lake City, actually Draper, Utah, just south of Salt Lake City. And Giancarlo is out in Southern California. How's the weather out there, Giancarlo?
Oh, it's very, very nice. We had a very bad weather. Actually, it was snowing like last week, which is like kind of crazy.
That is
So, yeah,
crazy.
but today is wonderful. I mean, we're probably in the 60 right now. It's going to be 70 during the day.
Very nice.
It's a good
Very
one.
nice. Yeah, I look forward to the warmer weather because I can tell you that here in Salt Lake, it hasn't gotten above, I think, 40 degrees for quite some time. The other thing,
I saw, and there is a lot of snow, but even in the mountains here,
yeah,
there's like, yeah, feet and feet of snow, houses like
covered,
buried by, yeah,
right?
covered, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
we've had something like over 500 inches of snowfall, so it's
Yeah,
amazing.
I will be there in June for snowing. Yeah.
You know, you're probably going to still be able to snowboard when you come out here, so that'll be great. You and I'll go. We'll take a PTO day, so we'll go
Nice.
do it. So, well, it seems that we have a lot more people on, so I think we can go ahead and get started. Giancarlo, let me go over a couple of technical things for everybody. This is our second town hall that we've done. We've tried to do these, or we're going to try to start doing these on a quarterly basis. Last time we used Zoom to try that out, which for town halls, I feel like Zoom may be a little bit maybe good, but we're trying GoToWebinar this time. So we don't get to see your faces. We won't get to hear you guys because this is more of a presentation, but it's very important to note that we still want you to ask questions. So please, please, please take advantage of that questions panel that's in the GoToWebinar control panel that you have. I'm not sure if you'll have direct access to the chat, but if you want to try that as well, it's good. We have a team standing by to answer any questions. In these town halls, what we like to do, and I'll just put up the agenda here because it's pretty darn short. What we really want to do is just kind of get things started with where we see the markets going, also some of the latest features that we have. And then I really want Giancarlo also to focus on some of the, like our near-term goals, right? What some of our next missions are, things that's already in the pipeline that you're going to see probably within the next, 1, 2, or 3 months, really before our next town hall that we have. And then we want to spend most of the time listening. For us, getting your feedback is what is really helping us drive the company in this direction. I can see from the attendees list that's on here, we have people that are covering several different markets, everything from IT departments and managed service providers to commercial integration and even residential integration. I see a couple from the video security space. So we'll probably have a wide range of questions, and I really hope we do. And we want to be able to address those live so you can hear where we're going. Before I get to the latest feature enhancements, Giancarlo, I kind of want to hear from you, over the last 3 months as we've gone into 2023, what has interested you the most, right? What are you seeing happening in the markets? What are you seeing happening on our support forums that you think is interesting?
There are various aspects around the monitoring in general, no? And I'm not focusing on the word network monitoring only for one reason, which is basically most of our users are more and more in need of monitoring everything.
Mm-hmm.
Not only the network stuff, but endpoints and IoT devices and security cameras, and they know what they really want to monitor out of those endpoints or out of those cloud infrastructure. So there's more and more focus on somehow flexibility in monitoring whatever you want. That's basically one area. Another area, And
Well,
there's a
wait,
lot.
Giancarlo, before you get off that area, I want to reinforce what you're saying. It's nice to be going back to a couple trade events and trade shows, talking to
Oh
people
yeah.
face to face and hearing some of the challenges that they have. And I have to say, I completely agree with you. I'm recognizing that people are bringing more and more systems to us to say, how do I monitor this, right? What can I do with this within Domotz? And frankly, it's less and less about just making sure that it's online, and it's actually diving into that device and seeing its CPU utilization, right? Its disk information, its memory consumption, its temperature, right? So
Yeah, I agree. I agree, JP.
yeah,
That's
go ahead.
definitely an area.
I interrupted you. Go
No,
ahead.
no, no. But that's definitely an area. And I am with you in the fact that I'm super happy to be back in front of people, in the live events we attended together a couple of weeks ago. Looking forward to see and meet everybody else and I know a lot of people that are joining the town hall today, but I've not seen them for 3 or 4 years, which is which is strange. Anyway, the other area of interest from our user base is scalability.
Oh yeah.
Or let's say the main topic is scalability. How can I want to monitor whatever I want, but then I also need to, for whatever I want, I really need to monitor hundreds of them, thousands of them. And I need a system that is somehow I can automate in the way I start monitoring those endpoints, those applications, and so on. So those are the two main areas I would say are very, very important in this phase. I don't know
Yeah.
if you have heard anything different, JP.
I'm with you on that. So I had the opportunity to go to two different, frankly, it was like week-long events. One was in the MSP space. Domotz is a part of IT Nation Evolve, right, which is a bunch of peer groups. And one of the fascinating things that I took away, Giancarlo, from what they were saying there, and it actually resonated in the second show that I went to, which was really more of a commercial integration show, which was NSCA's Business Leadership Conference. But the thing that I heard consistently from both markets was that out of the pandemic and where they see the markets going, first of all, both managed service providers as well as integration markets, while the macroeconomic situation is going, people are concerned about the economy and where it's going, they're also very positive with their markets, right? They see a lot of positive growth, which I really love. Now, what that means is that they're also looking for ways of being more efficient, right?
Yeah.
And how can they use these tools? I'm going to put us, of course, Domotz in this bucket of tools, but how can they use the tools that are in their software stacks to improve their efficiencies? How can they also, and this really resonated in the integration markets, okay, which was, how can I now start to more proactively monitor systems and make sure that we know that there's a problem before the customer does? Service providers have been doing this for years, where they understand service level agreements, but they're trying to improve their offering. On the integration space, they're trying to get out of that break fix mode and go more into the integration space. So
yeah,
that's what I'm seeing, right? So
yeah, that's true. That's true statement, JP. And I agree with you that there is always more and more contacts between the two worlds where we work better, the integration space, customer electronics space, and the MSP. There is more and more integration between the two markets.
Such a true statement, Giancarlo. So, I here I am skipping around slides, right? Latest feature enhancements, right? So to get to some of the things that we've done, Giancarlo.
I want to continue to invite people to ask questions, because this is an opportunity for us to discuss with you what you really care. If you agree on the statements we were mentioning with JP in the direction of these markets, in the interest of the people that use Domotz. So please feel free to comment with any question we can raise here.
Yeah. I appreciate you bringing that up, Giancarlo. So I love it. If I say something controversial, let me know. So Giancarlo, for our latest feature enhancements, and I kind of looked at this as a guide, right? Since our last town hall, we've really put out 3 of our monthly release notes. I think everybody's aware of the fact that we're actually doing we're doing software releases once every 2 weeks because of the way our team works. But a lot of times we aggregate the release notes into monthly statements that go out with our newsletter. When I look through that history, these were some of the things that I kind of latched onto to say, yeah, these are things that we've really added, which helps improve efficiency or some of the new things that we're doing. Do you, Giancarlo, why don't I let you go over some of these things and kind of give your view from a technology perspective on what these improvements were, and I'll add some color as we go.
Yeah, absolutely. So there has been a few improvements here and there in the last few months, but also a lot of the new capabilities and new features. I see there are already some questions in the background, and I would like to address them. Thanks for the question. So let's start from the SNP sensor improvements. As some of you have been with Domotz for years, and you know that we have started working with the SNP and able to read out of SNP protocol almost since the beginning. But despite the fact that SNP stands for Simple Network Monitor Protocol, it's very far from being simple. And we have tried to simplify that approach. And as a matter of fact, at the beginning, we were just allowing users to enter one specific OID, which is the ID of the object they want to monitor. And then we started the capability like, okay, let's extract on our own automatically some information, like out of the switch, we were extracting which device is connected to which port, the power over Ethernet consumption, and so on, system description and more. And then we start reading the MIB, so every single device, and propose out of the MIB or showing like a sort of vocabulary or dictionary of the object they can monitor by searching specific words like temperature, but still a lot of manual work there. And then we added what we call the pre-configured SNP template. This is really back in 2022, and we start adding some of the pre-configured template, like monitoring network interfaces out of the switch, monitoring ink level out of printers, monitor the UPS and the battery level on the UPS, and this kind of stuff. We are adding some improvements there. For instance, we have added the capability of showing whatever you start monitoring with this pre-configured template into the monitoring table. So once you have in the monitoring table, you can group together sensors from different devices, sensors from different sites. So you can have for instance, the temperature of the rack room in my site A in the Winery County and the site B in Draper County. There will be a huge difference in temperature, I'm gonna say, but yeah. Right. But you can do that together. You can start grouping them together and see in one single page. But not only that, we are also improving in the technique. It's somehow hidden from the user point of view, but we are, let's say, going to improve the performance on how we read the SNP sensor so that we can even speed up reading those values. Currently, there are some limitation, and we cannot read with the frequency above the 2 minutes. So one read every 2 minutes is the limit, but we want to go no further. We want to go to one read every minute or something like that. But also, in terms of pre-configured sensor, and now I'm probably going to speak something for the future. Now, one of the slides is like, okay, what's next? Actually, we are working on a way to allow you to create your own pre-configured template for SNMP. We will be able, in a somehow easier way, to publish more and more pre-configured sensors or templates. One will come next week, where we will add capability of monitoring firewalls through SNMP and some pre-configured there, but we will add more and more at a very high pace. That's about the SNMP. There is a lot more that we can talk about the SNMP, but yeah, that's about the SNMP. I see some question arriving. GB, how do you want to enter? Do you want to enter some of the question, or?
You know, I'm okay asking some of these questions right now that are specifically related to some of the things you're talking about, Giancarlo. And we can do that before we get into some of the other topics. You know, what I am, for instance, let me go to this one by Jonathan, because I think this is an important one as it relates to some of these variables that we see. He says, when are we going to be able to report or view and filter on custom driver variables, right? Now, I don't know if you want to save that till the end. I know when we talk about custom integrations, we also talk about being able to, you know, write scripts against SNMP or RESTful APIs. Do you want to address that now, or would you like to?
Yeah, well, yeah, we can address now.
Okay.
Just to break the flow, but yeah, we will be able. So we are currently working on a way to bring the variables extracted from the custom driver directly into the monitoring table. So once we have those values in the monitoring table, it will be much easier to view, report, filter, and even export in CSV file. All the variables that you extract with the custom driver will be there. Forecast is around 1 month. So in 1 month, we'll be able to have all the variables of the custom drivers into the monitoring table. Yes, good morning, Jonathan. Yeah, I see you there. We are in the same time zone. Is 8:46 now. So yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for the question.
You know, the other part of this, which this is something, Jonathan, that I'm actually focused on, right? You are asking, when will it be easier to apply custom drivers to agents, right? And in particular, multiple agents all at once. Let me, we're getting a little bit off the topic of the release notes to get further away, but I want to point out that I am right now very focused on user experience, okay? If you guys look at our webpage and you look at our vision and mission statement that Domotz has put forth, right? Network monitoring is a capability. It's a very strong capability that Domotz has. And when it comes to looking at the network infrastructure, we do things really, really well there, we believe, right? It fits a lot of needs. We still need to continuously improve. But when it comes to understanding network-based devices and data that is being made available more and more from devices, internal to the devices, what we want to be able to do is have you aggregate that and view that in a way that's easy. The idea behind these custom scripts, right, that we've created, these custom integration drivers, right, it has been a great way to bring more and more data. And I know, Giancarlo, later on, right after we get over this kind of these initial questions, I want you to demo one of the things that you did at your house very easily, okay?
Yeah.
But the idea behind this is, how can we build a stronger community of scripts that are out there? And then how can we apply those things to one or more agents, to your question, easily? We are looking at that user experience very closely, and we're making sure that how we do that within the Domotz platform and the UI itself today fits really well with our structure. So it's coming. My expectation, this is a big task. Okay, I'm not going to try to gloss over that, but we expect to make very strong progress throughout this year in 2023, and we'll be in a much better shape to apply drivers easily. So, Giancarlo, before I get to more of the questions, why don't we finish up on some of these release notes? So
absolutely. No, even because I'm still reading some of the question, and some of the question will be actually answered by the roadmap. No, the third slide that you were showing, it's actually roadmap, and most of the questions are there for the roadmap. Yeah. So improved support for alerting on various sensors. So this is, again, it's somehow related to the SNMP sensors as well as the custom driver sensor, or even the sensor that we are able to extract with the capability that we call OS monitoring, operating system monitor. the capability of connecting to a Linux machine or a Windows PC or server or MacBook and extract some of the variable from those machines. Now we also have the possibility to set an alert on those variables. So you do not only see the history for those variables, but you can set somehow easily an alert on those variables, a threshold. If something breaches the threshold, you get a notification on your contact channel. It might be a chat, might be a ticketing system, and so on. Yeah, I will probably, if we have time, probably at the end, we'll see how it goes with the question and answer. But if we have time at the end, we will definitely show some of this.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
Improve the list of network interfaces. This is something somehow recurring. So when we started with showing the interface tab in a switch back in 2017, probably, we were able to identify all the list of ports, traffic there, and then which device is connected to which port. And the complexity of the network was somehow simple at that time. Then we started having a log system, starting having switch configured in stack, and so on. So by modifying that interface, somehow we created a mess with a list of ports, let's say not in the right order or sorting. We have redefined that view. So you can now see the physical ports as segregated from the virtual interfaces like VLANs. And then if you have a stack switch, you will see the physical switch 1, switch 2, and switch 3, which with its own port there. So this is a third item there.
And Giancarlo, I want to point out just as an added thing here, right? Part of the direction we're going here by improving this, the way in which we look at network interfaces and VLANs, as you said, is so that we can help build out an even stronger topology map as well, right? And continue to improve on that, because I know that from a usability perspective and ease of use perspective, as well as when it comes to security compliance, right? More having a better understanding of the topology of your network and how things are connected is an important part. CIS control number 12, right?
Oh, so I completely agree, GB. And that's why, you know, we spend a lot of resources, invested a lot of resources in bringing other protocols to understand the topology of a network. We started with the RFC 4188 based on SNMP back in 2017 when we started that area. But we have introduced the support for CDP, the support for LLDP, for what it matters, you know, how devices are connected to each other.
That's
so
right.
Very good topic, GB. I agree.
The next one, Giancarlo, I think people will appreciate. Do you mind speaking to the self-servicing?
Oh, yeah. It's probably one of the, how to say, the feature requests that we had most voted in the past. For whoever has been with Domotz for years and has had any hardware failure where the Domotz agent was hosted, I mean, the old procedure was you send an email to Domotz support, we change the association or the bounding between the Domotz agent, the software, and the hardware, which is hosting the software by the means of the MAC address, basically. And you were able to, what we call, resume the agent configuration on the new hardware. This was somehow cumbersome because you had to contact support and then being on site and resume the agent when we were going and answer. So even though we are pretty fast in replying with our support team, it was somehow a pita for you guys to resume agents or move agents from one hardware to the other. Very recently, probably last month, we have changed the code of the Domotz agent. So basically, when you now install and configure a new Domotz agent, you have the option to resume a previously installed Domotz agent from a different hardware. So assume you have a hardware failure on one side, you just bring a new hardware, you install Domotz agent. When you go into, you log in with your account in the Domotz agent, and you will have the possibility to resume the failed agent, basically. So I believe this is very important for everybody.
It is. It's going to be, people are going to love that, right? Just because it's one less it's just going to be faster, right? It's one less ticket that you have to create, and it's going to be better. Giancarlo, I want to spend 5 minutes on the last two topics so we can get to some of the questions, because we have a lot of good questions coming in. I think the Sites Explorer improvements is actually a pretty easy discussion.
Very quick discussion. Is more from a performance. So we introduced a new way of retrieving data out of our database, and this is much faster right now as of yesterday. So this is very fresh. We introduced the new Site Explorer also in the mobile app. I was so happy yesterday morning when we opened this capability, yesterday or Tuesday, I don't remember. Anyway, last 2 days, to open my mobile phone and load our, let's say, support accounts where we have agents shared by you guys. And it was super fast in loading, like 1,000 agents or something like that. Even no, I have some collaboration with some of big customers with thousands and thousands of agents. So we are speaking about 6,000 agents in one view. And it was loading on my mobile app. It was like, wow.
Actually, this is amazing. Yeah, you're right.
It's amazing.
I've been on calls all morning, so I haven't pulled up the mobile app, but it is way faster. So, by the way, Giancarlo, I find it kind of humorous, right? Some of the markets we go to, a lot of people don't recognize two things about Domotz. First of all, they recognize this as a cloud service. Okay, that's pretty obvious to people. But one thing that you're talking about right now is you brought up the mobile app. I don't think a lot of people still realize that we have not only a desktop application, but we have a web-based application with your favorite browser, but we also have a mobile app, right? So, which, we often talk about not taking work home with you or on vacation, but if you need to, right, the mobile app is there.
But you might be on duty and you only carry your mobile anyway. So if you're a customer, one of the things I can do with my mobile, I restart the access point of my customer or my home, in my case, when I'm in the office and I'm in a meeting. I see a notification, okay, the access point is behaving strange. With a button, I can reboot it. So it's nice. It's nice.
Yeah.
And worth to mention that 90% of the I would say 100% of the capabilities are available in the mobile app, and probably 90% of the views are in the mobile app, by the way. Available. So you cannot do like monitoring table, because that doesn't make sense. I want the monitoring table on my screen, but you have those information if you deep dive into a specific agent and device. So very quickly addressing the last item, custom integration. So JB has mentioned something very important there, is focusing more and more on the user experience around, I continue to call custom integration, but they're basically integration scripts. It's an integration scripts area. We are providing our users with more and more scripts to integrate with different kind of devices or application or services or cloud solution, whatever. And I can provide you some example. Actually, I can provide you some example.
You want me to, Giancarlo, you want me to make you presenter?
Let me see if I have, please, yes.
Okay, let's see, make presenter. Make sure you want it. Yes, I'm sure I want to make Giancarlo the presenter.
Very good. Let me see which one I can show. Interesting. Okay, I hope I'm showing the right browser.
I see powerful integrations for.
So, those are all the integrations. So this is our website with the list of all the integration. If you see here, application cloud monitoring, they are all using this engine of integration scripts. And as you can see, those are all applications. But very recently, we have released an integration to monitor like the Crestron touch screen or even other hardware where you can interface with whatever you want. Okay, and then what was the next step? Sorry, I lost it.
So you're talking about custom scripts, right, Giancarlo? You might as well at this point show some example custom scripts. And frankly, I mean, at this point, I would show your house, right? Show what you did with the Tesla wall, and let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay, let's talk about that one a little bit, and then we will address some of the question there. So I had an issue with the Tesla charger where, for instance, the temperature of the wall-mounted charger and the plug actually was spiking. And so with a very quick research online, I found out that there is a simple page or a simple API or JSON that is returned by the Tesla charger. The thing is that there is no alerting mechanism there.
From Tesla, right? Uh-oh. Uh-oh, did we lose
There
Giancarlo?
is nothing that you can extract and put into a monitoring solution. So I said, okay, why don't I file and bring those information? We are having some issues probably in the loading this table right now. That's funny. And I basically exported the JSON file into variables which are available to Domotz now. So I can check for the current temperature, the currently temperature to the, where is the temperature? A handle temperature. And not only can see the historical temperature of the, this is centigrade, of course, yeah, in the centigrade space, but you can set an alert so that, and this is how easy it is now. So if it is greater than 25 degrees, actually it's roughly 75 Fahrenheit, I can send a ticket in my Zendesk. And so as soon as the temperature, so I'm sure Enrique will be happy to see my Tesla charger reaching the temperature of 25 Celsius degree. So if I show you the script behind this table, you will be impressed how simple it is. So the Tesla charger I've done is basically exporting a couple of variables, and rest is simple code, how to represent, but it's very simple. It's like 50 or 65 lines of code. Most of them are comments. So
Giancarlo, you know, you and I have talked about this. There's probably not a ton of people that really care to monitor their Tesla wall charger, right? But here's the thing, right? This was something that Domotz probably never would have done, right? Because it really just doesn't fit under, you know, the primary value proposition of what a network monitoring tool does. But here's the interesting thing that you showed, right? Look how easy it was for you to extract this information from a network device, regardless of what it was. Right? I think, and Giancarlo, you correct me if I'm wrong, but you took advantage of the World Wide Web and you know, found these APIs, right? These V2 APIs that were there, and you were able to import that pretty easily through JavaScript.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah, that's actually I asked the ChatGPT to help me writing the code.
I love it. I love it.
It's a nice thing. Yeah, and as you say, it was pretty easy. And I recognize that most of our audience or users are not programmers, but taking our example and customize to your need, it's something very easy to do. But in any case, we are interested also in helping there. So
yeah. I wanna point out something. You mentioned ChatGPT. So I was talking to Bobby, he's one of our onboarding specialists, right? And I'm sure a lot of you have talked to Bobby. But the thing that Bobby had a call with a customer, and this customer, he was very intrigued by the Domotz round trip delay capabilities, but what he wanted was the ability to start in an automated way, start a ping test from one endpoint to another endpoint and see that data. Bobby, utilizing ChatGPT, right? And we had to play around with it. He had to massage the questions he was asking and gave it some examples. But within a matter of like a day, maybe it was even a day and a half, right? He actually had a working script, right? A Java-based script that he was able to plug in. He put in the static IP addresses for this, but it worked, right? And it came back. So just another innovative way of using these scripts, right, to build out more and more data or aggregate more and more data. So I just love it. I love it.
Very good. Yeah, I agree, JP. I completely agree with you.
Let's, Giancarlo, from
yes.
my we've got a lot of good questions that have come in here, and let's start focusing on those. I'm going to leave you as the presenter because I think that you may be able to show some specific things. But let me just start at the top here. All right, and this is a question that we've gotten before. So, are there plans to introduce the ability to manually import a list of devices into the Domotz UI? Right? Aaron basically says that this is possible via the public APIs, which that is something that we introduced within the last few months. But he pointed out that this is time consuming. So Giancarlo, what's your thoughts on that from a team perspective and what we're doing? Because I know we are working on that.
We are exactly, that's true, GP. We are working on that. Let me mention that this kind of let's say importing of the of devices that you want to monitor is only required when you cannot scan the network. And so basically, just if I can go to my agent here. So this is basically required when on my agent I disable the automatic scanning. No, so if I disable the automatic scanning from here, it means that I don't want I don't want the tool to automatically discover new devices on the network. Otherwise, Domotz will discover for you. So let me say that 99% of the users, they just find whatever they need by leaving the automatic scan enabled.
Yep. No? Giancarlo, this is an important use case though for certain markets, right? Integrators when they may not own the network or where the IT department prohibits active scanning, which is why we put this in here. But in that situation, the user is usually looking at very specific devices that are on either a DHCP reservation or a static IP address as well.
Correct. And this is why Aaron correctly pointed out the fact that through the API, he can, of course, import like devices on his own, or IP address that he wants to monitor. And I recognize the fact that it's not very user-friendly. So I agree with him. And
Giancarlo, correct me if I'm wrong, but things that you and I have talked about in the past with this is in the same way that we can do importing and exporting of an Excel file into the information on devices that we see. We want to try to take advantage of a similar mechanism, I think, to make it easy, and we're working on that.
I get.
Good. It's funny. We did get a question here as well from Jonathan again. I think it kind of applies to the question you did before, right? About what about exporting reports from the inventory view?
Okay, let me address. Okay, let me merge together two questions here. So when are you going to be able to export a report from the inventory view, together with the other question, which is actually other two questions, which is would be great to have saved filter and search in the inventory. Together with another question, which is, okay, I'm not using the monitoring table where I can currently export the data. So I have this monitoring table like versions, which I can export the content of this table in CSV file, okay? But I cannot do this in the inventory tab. What the heck? No, and I recognize the issue here and the limitation. So the limitation is here currently is the following. In the monitoring table, you have static devices. Means that when you edit the table and you add, when you manage devices, you add your devices that you want to show in the table, and those are static. It's not dynamic, which means if I want to monitor all my Cisco switches, I start monitoring today what I have, my 10 Cisco switches, and tomorrow if I add the 11th Cisco switch on one site, or even a new site with a bunch of Cisco switches, I have to manually enter those. This is why the action of exporting the CSV from monitoring table is not very useful. This is why in the inventory, which is a dynamic table, it's much more useful because this is dynamic. So as soon as I have a new Cisco switch and I say here Cisco, and I can select the type of switch, this is dynamic. So if tomorrow I will have new Cisco switch, they will all appear here. Now, to answer all these questions together, what we are going to do, and this is pretty soon. It's probably in 3 weeks. We are adding a capability in the inventory tab. Once you apply a couple of filters, to add a button to save the filter. That save the rules that you have applied those filters. So it saves the rule of type should be either managed switch or PoE switch, make model should be Cisco. And then you have that filter saved with your name, and the same filter will be able to be used in the monitoring dashboard.
Yeah, for
what
me.
That means, yeah, what it means that in this table, instead of having a list of devices, instead of having a list of devices, I will have the rule to show the devices instead of the example.
That we've had many conversations between Bobby and myself with customers about this exact point, right? The tables, a lot of times the customers want to have a dynamic table that says if any one of these device types go offline, then show it in the table, right? And we'll be able to do that with these types of filters now, or at least we'll be able to bring in any device and filter it by status, right? Things of that nature.
Yeah, correct.
I think that's
this actually, this actually is going toward one of the conversation. What the third slide was, what's next? No, and this was one of the item of what's next. Let's go on with the question because they're very interesting.
No, these are lots of really good questions. I'm going to change subjects a little bit but I think it's an important question. Where on earth did it go? They were asking about, Giancarlo, you may want to bring up the Domotz webpage. They're asking about the CIS Control Document and some of the other white papers that are quite useful, right? So at just go to the very bottom of this page, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you'll see under resources, there's this CIS controls document. I would encourage anybody, I don't care what market you're in, to take a look at this page, right? This is about how, you can abstract Domotz and put your favorite network monitoring tool here if you want, but this is really about how you should be thinking about CIS controls, right? The CIS controls are the basis for NIST framework, CMMC, SOC 2. Domotz helps you satisfy or at least work towards, right? Because these are about a process, right? But work towards many of these controls. In fact, I think if you go down another couple slides, it's like 6 of the 18 controls that are there, okay? This is one great document, and this will really help you get some insight into how Domotz helps. Now, if you go back, Giancarlo, to that security standards page, under resources at the top, you will see security at Domotz. This is a security white paper where we talk about how Domotz has implemented much of our security. We're a SOC 2 type 2 compliant company. We utilize things like defense in depth. We use OWASP. This document here talks about that, and it gives you some insight into how we deal with uptime and making sure that our servers are properly distributed. So I would encourage you guys to take a look at this. We do have one more white paper as well that I think you can find in the help guide that relates to how to communicate about cloud services to your customers. That was something that we created about 5 or 6 years ago when there were arguments going on about, on-prem solution versus cloud solutions. I have to say the world has changed in the last few years, and many people are recognizing that cloud services are a must-have.
And yeah, GB, that makes me smile because when we create that white paper, and it was based on other big cloud solution vendors doing the same, like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I don't remember. We had constantly people asking, why should I move to the cloud? Like every single week, there was at least one time per week we had to provide that report. In the last 2 years, probably once every 6 months or even less. Yeah, I agree. It's something that's changed. Yeah.
So, Giancarlo, there's another question here, which actually relates to one of the roadmap items you're talking about. And it is, the question right out of the box here is it possible for an MSP to provide their customers access to Domotz that limits the scope to only the customer's devices, right? And allows the customers to create or modify their own sensors and monitors. I want to point out, Giancarlo, that Bobby rightfully answered this about taking advantage of the field operator capability, which
Correct.
is definitely a possibility there.
Yes.
I would like to speak a little bit more to what you and I are talking about when it comes to role-based tools. Do you mind bringing that up?
No problem at all. Actually, it's as you mentioned, this is something on my list of roadmap. So to answer to the question, this is the field operator that you are going to use, which tells you out of all the agents or sites that I'm monitoring with my master account, I want this Matteo only access a couple of agents or a couple of sites and all the devices there. That's what I want. I don't want to share all my agents. So this is a capability that they can offer. But JB, one of the limitations in Domotz right now is that you only have access to one master account or admin account. In my case, it's Giancarlo.subscription Domotz. No, this is the only user that can manage like billing details, or can manage the team, or even can manage like branding of my team. What we have introduced very recently, it's part of usually it's part of the enterprise plan, but we are very open to work with you and having you access to this capability. We have introduced a way of allowing team members, so the ones that you create here, to access to your own admin account and do stuff like create team members, or changing the two-factor authentication for one of the other team members, or reset the factor authentication, configure the SAM and SSO, or changing billing information, reviewing billing details, and so on. So that's a very, very powerful capability that we are offering now. If you're interested, contact sales or contact support, and we can work together in enabling that capability for you.
That I think is going to be very helpful. And that this is in my mind a very quick fix to where we really want to go with this, Giancarlo. Again, when I focus on user experience, I know that we often get questions about like user-based roles, like a billing user, right? Often in larger organizations, the finance department needs access to a tool because they need to get all the invoices, right? That's an important part, but also we're seeing a need for read-only users, and the use case may be that just like this question came up, the customer wants to be able to see things, right? See what they have, but the owner of the agent, right? You as the service provider, you as the integrator, don't necessarily want your customer to change things. So this is near and dear to my heart, and it's something that we want to get implemented sooner rather than later, but we're focused on it. So Giancarlo, we had a very good question, which again, I believe that our team answered it, but I want to get your take on this as well. It says there's some talk about expanding monitoring protocols, and in particular, it says, is WMI on the list to be implemented? We have some opinions about that, so talk to us about that.
Absolutely. So WMI is actually the protocol that we already use behind the OS monitoring. So, okay.
Well, for clarity, Giancarlo, too, this is Windows Management Interface, correct?
Correct. That's the correct statement. So let me see if probably Bobby has a network where he has unlocked one Windows machine with OS monitoring. Probably this one is unlocked. So all the information that you see here, like the name, version, builder, blah, 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 memory, physical disk, logical disk, all this information, they come from WMI. WMI is a local protocol to execute even PowerShell script and so on, or extract information out of the local machine, while the transport layer or the transport protocol may be based either on WinRM or SSH. Now, when we use SSH, we usually run PowerShell command in the remote PC or Windows machine. When we use WinRM, we usually use combined WMI. Now, what limitation we have is in the custom driver. So probably, yeah, you see he has also drivers here applied.
Oh, hey.
Thanks, Bobby. Thanks,
yeah,
Bobby.
this is actually that that driver he created with ChatGPT, I think.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. That's it. So when we use the custom driver, and I show you how easy it might be to have a custom driver written, but we provide the script for you. When you use this one, the limitation so far is that the layer of communication with the PC or Windows is based only on SSH. And now is the future, which is probably into 1 week or 2 weeks, we are opening the capability of WinRM, so WMI, to the custom driver as well.
Yeah.
Also very worth to mention, when Bobby unlocked, let's say when we say unlocked, it means that we give access to this machine BEW3 to read out this information. He basically used his own local account on the machine. In this case, it's SSH, but it might be even WinRM. Another big modification that we are doing is we are allowing domain accounts to be used here, which means that you can use your Active Directory account, unlock this capability across all your PCs in a network which use the same domain account. Also worth to mention, you do not need to use an admin account for this functionality. A local account with no admin rights is sufficient for most of the information we extract, and we don't want to have an admin account there.
Giancarlo, looking at these physical disks and logical disks on this, one of the questions we get, and I think you and I were talking a little bit about this, and I know that we hear this on the support channel. Hard disks can fail, right? I mean, there's the smart information, right? And I'm curious how we can set alerts for like hard disk failures and what we've suggested to people.
So there are a few alerts that right now you can put like in the usage, of course, but also the other capability like the status of the disk as well. We are not extracting at the moment through the OS monitoring, but we will provide scripts, as I was mentioning, that will be able to extract those information. Yeah.
Okay, so writing a script, right? Having a script that we make available for people is probably going to be the best way we can start to show like potential hard disk failures or when hard disks fail, whether it's really either through a NAS drive or through a virtual machine or like a server or even a Windows machine, right?
Yeah, correct. That's correct. Good. So speaking about that, if we go to an SXI machine, let me remove the filters here. Yeah, one of the capability we usually show here is the possibility to see all the virtual machine within that VMware server. Out of those Windows machine, which is the status of, virtual machine, which is the status of the virtual machine, which is the allocated number of cores or or allocated memory or allocated virtual network and so on. So absolutely, this is a super powerful thing.
Very, very, very. We have one other question, and then we're about out of time. This actually has to do with polling intervals on devices, Giancarlo. I don't know if you saw that question, but let me read it to you. They want to be able to change the polling intervals on devices, right? They point out that some of the equipment, the AV devices and security devices often have, I put this in quotes, right? Substandard interfaces, right? Meaning the network interface cards that don't necessarily respond properly to how often we scan those devices, which it's probably worthwhile, Giancarlo, in this question for you to touch on how we do that. But it says it would be nice, or for this reason, they'd like to be able to adjust the ping rate, right, that we do on devices. Do you have any thoughts on that, Giancarlo? And can you speak to, maybe you need to help everybody just level set on how we do the scanning of devices.
Okay, yes, it's Let me bring something, because this is something actually that we do support. Okay, let me tell you how it works today.
Yep.
What we have to offer is basically we do scan every single network interface. So if you have a virtual network interface attached to your machine, which hosts the Domotz agent by default scans every one of them one time every 30 seconds.
Yep.
This is the frequency, let's say the frequency of polling every single device on the network. This frequency has been set like that because it's fast enough to identify threat on the network. If you have a new device showing on the network, in 30 seconds can be notified. And not so fast to trigger other issue on the network. So if you do a scan every 2 seconds or 3 seconds, might be an issue on the traffic on the network. But we recognize that this polling frequency might be high for some network or some particular device. So this is why in the enterprise plan, we are able to customize the scanning frequency. So we are able to set, I want the network only scan every 1 hour or 2 hours. Now, take in mind that if we scan every 1 hour or every 2 hours, all the other, let's say, mechanism to monitor the existing devices will be a consequence of that change. So if we scan a device every 10 minutes, you will be notified that the device is offline. The minimum, no, it's 10 minutes, or actually the average is 5 minutes, no? But the maximum time elapsed might be 10 minutes. So having that in mind, we can change the frequency of scanning, and we can do other customization in what we call the enterprise plan. Like one of the limitation in the standard agent, let's say, is that all the interfaces that you might have 1, 2, 10, 20 interfaces. There is a limit on the seed, on the subnet mask for those interfaces, which is a /22, which means an IP address range of 1024 different IP addresses, each network interface. Now, if we want to scan a bigger network, Domotz really needs to change the approach on how we scan the bigger network, because we cannot send a broadcast on a /16, no, and addressing 65,000 different IP addresses. That cause issues on the network. So we use a different approach there, which is available again in the enterprise level of kind of agent, basically. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's a very good point, Giancarlo, and I'm glad you brought this up. I mean, Domotz is quite flexible, right, on how we handle the agent. Your point about larger networks, right, going to a /16 is a very good one. You know, the agent is different, but we can offer that to people if they need larger networks. But also the customization that can happen with the agents and with the dashboards and how we handle scanning is available. My recommendation is, if you need those things, you know, reach out to support@domotz.com or our sales team, and we will get back to you ASAP.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
good.
JP, while there are still other questions that are there, but I want to mention a couple of things that just came into my mind, and they will be available somehow, or something that we are working on and we're available soon. So one thing that has been requested a few times, especially in the enterprise space, you know, the Domotz agent has its own web interface, local web interface on port 3000, which is the local web interface where you usually log in to configure your agent. Once you log in, that web interface is basically a reporting page to set this, to show the status of the agent itself. It doesn't provide much information. However, when the Domotz agent is running on our Domotz box, that web interface also allows you to change network configuration of the box itself, because the box is our own stuff. We own the stack. We can control from the web interface, which is somehow a risk in some environment because it's an open port. The port 3000 is open once the Domotz agent has been configured. And it's a threat somehow, no? Somebody might go there. There is no risk of stealing information or putting a malware or whatever, but somebody can go there, change the network configuration, and just break how Domotz works. No?
Yep.
So for this reason, until now, until this week, we have a capability of closing that port from our support line. So our support
That's
can
very
be
good.
contacted and we can close the port. In
Very good,
2 weeks, in 2 weeks, actually in 1 week, you will have this capability directly from the web app. So when you go into the web app, you go in your own Domotz box configuration. So it is my agent, for instance, at home. I have not enabled it yet. But when you go in the agent settings, you will have here a button, basically a setting, which will allow you to disable the port 3000 local on machine. So you configure your own static IP address, you configure your own VLANs or network attached interfaces, and then you disable from here. When you need it, you connect securely into the web app, you enable, you change, you close it.
Giancarlo, I want to bring up one last question, and it's from Wayne, because Wayne is speaking my love language here. He basically said he's so tired of the power connection on the physical box, right? And since you're talking about the agent, I want to bring this up, and I'm going to say, Wayne, you and me both, brother. The problem is that and just for clarity, right? We have a micro USB connector, power connector on the back of that box. We actually have a lot of people utilizing that box. I want to make everybody aware of the fact that in the next, probably give me some time, I'm going to say 6 to 8 weeks, right? You're going to have a survey come out, and we're going to ask some questions about usability of the box and things. We are in the process. We are actively looking at how we can improve this. And trust me when I say that power connector is the absolute first thing to go. And we will make modifications. We're looking at things like PoE. We're looking at higher performance capabilities. We're looking at kind of a new industrial design. So please note that I hear you, and we are definitely looking at making improvements there. So I appreciate that question. Giancarlo, we are actually out of time right now. I do want to note, Giancarlo, we did get a question from somebody that says they want to get your Tesla wall script. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So I highly recommend we put that into GitHub, right, under like some random section or whatever. But let's make sure that we make that available to people. So
I will definitely do that. And I see also some other questions say, okay, let me see one network topology, which is great. Probably this one in the Draper office might be a good topology. Actually, yeah, it's pretty simple. One main switch, the gateway, one main switch, and a few other switches and access point there. Yeah, you change the network, JP.
Yes, we have. Yeah. We have changed it. While we're here, you're probably better off going to like my house or something, or the IoT lab, Giancarlo.
Yeah, the IoT lab basically shows not much.
You can expand that thing out and see how it looks. So.
By the way, I tried this in the mobile phone since I wasn't using mobile phone for a while now, because with all the networks, the Site Explorer was kind of slow. But since I started the other day, and I started exploring the topology, even in the mobile app, it's kind of nice.
Oh yeah,
I like it. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us on the town hall. We really appreciate the questions. These are the types of questions that help us make sure that we are going down the right path, focused on the right things, focused in the right way. And I want to say, if you have more comments or questions, reach out to us. Right? I would tell you support@domotz.com is the absolute best way to do that. But our sales team, which is sales@domotz.com, is also very willing to answer any technical questions. I also want to point out, if you guys are having trouble with an agent, okay, don't let it fester, right? Talk to our onboarding team, right? And we can start that process through support@domotz.com, and we'll get one of our onboarding guys out there to talk to you, or on a Teams meeting or Zoom, and we'll help address any of your concerns. Also, we talk a lot about these custom scripts, okay? If there's something unique that you need help with, let us know, right? We are actually investing in some people to help us develop these scripts faster. So I'm excited about that. Giancarlo, thank you very much. Any other parting words?
No, that's great. And as you mentioned, the script, apparently a lot of people are asking for the Tesla script now, so I'm going to ship the script now.
Very good, very good. All right, everybody. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.